Hey guys, today I'm going to be talking about Leah on the Offbeat by Becky Albertalli. I normally like to summarize a book before I start reviewing it, but even after reading this book, I'm not really sure how to summarize it, other than the fact that we follow the character Leah from Simon vs. Homo Sapiens Agenda. This is telling her story a year later. There are a lot of problems and drama going on in her life right now. Her band, with school, with relationships, and then prom and college are right around the corner, and that's causing more drama. And while all this is going on, it feels like her friend group is crumbling from the inside, and she really doesn't know how to help with this. And then, of course, in the midst of all of this, there's going to be a cutesy relationship in the end. This is going to be a spoiler-free review, so you don't have to worry if you haven't read the book. I'm not going to spoil anything for you. But let's start off with my rating. I ended up giving this book a 2 out of 5 stars. I had quite a few problems with the book, the main one being that I was barely 200 pages in and I was tired of reading it. I was tired of all of the drama, and I was really, really tired of the main character and her love interests. I was just really tired of both of them. I didn't like either one of them in Simon vs. Homo Sapiens Agenda, and I just really couldn't stand them in this book, and I tried really hard to like them, especially since I have so much in common with Leah. I mean, I have a lot of anxiety problems, and I'm not really the most social person. I would consider myself very socially awkward, and we also both love to draw, anime, manga, we like Harry Potter, and I happen to love yaoi just like she does. So I was expecting myself to really connect to Leah's character, and those aspects of her character I really wanted to dive more deeply into, since we only really scratched the surface of them in Simon. But other than a few drawings here and there to really just put emphasis, I guess, on the relationship, we don't get any of those aspects of her life really. And to me that was very disappointing, because I really wanted to see those really brought out in this book. Another thing that was bothersome is the fact that I could see the relationship endgame within like the first 50 pages. I mean, from the synopsis, I couldn't tell who she was going to end up with. I mean, you know, people can say that it was pretty obvious who she was going to end up with because, you know, that character had a big spot in Simon, but it's like, no, I mean, really, I was rooting for the other possible love interest the entire time, actually, even though I knew who she was going to end up with. You know, I was going to start this review by talking about the things I liked about the book, but I just jumped right into the things I didn't like about it. So let's just continue on with that. There's a non-consensual kiss in this book, and I don't feel like it was brushed over in the book. It was kind of brushed over, but it wasn't. I mean, at the point in time that it happened, the character it happened to was very pissed and very adamant about not talking to the person who kissed them. But it's like a week or two later, it's like, even that, it's like it never happened. I'm not sure why it was like it never happened. I mean, if someone was to kiss me without my consent, I mean, I would be pissed off and probably not talk to that person for at least a good 2 or 3 months, especially if it was my first kiss. But this is something that I probably just have a problem with. I've read a few reviews for this book, and no one else has, at least not the reviews I've read, have mentioned the non-consensual kiss, and they may not see it as a non-consensual kiss given what was going on at the moment, but I mean, she didn't say yes to it, and she even said that they stole her first kiss. So, you know, that screams non-consensual to me, but I mean, I haven't really seen anyone else having a problem with it. It's just, I guess it's just a me thing. I really didn't like that aspect of the book, and it kind of felt like it was just used to push the relationship into being a thing. This next problem I have is going to be kind of confusing since I don't want to spoil anything. How Nick's character is portrayed in this book, especially towards the end when he's having a few problems. It's very frustrating because I can understand why he's mad and frustrated and a whole bunch of other confusing emotions, but I felt like the way he chose to deal with these problems was kind of out of character. From what we've seen of him in Simon, I couldn't really see him doing what he did unless he changed a lot over the year and we just didn't get to see that. I almost felt like it was there just to make us feel negatively about Nick's character and not feel bad about how Leah's relationship was going to turn out in the end. And honestly, if that's what it was trying to do, it half succeeded. I didn't care one way or the other at this point that Leah was going to end up with who she ended up with. I mean, I was so through with the book at that point that it was just like, let's finish this. But I didn't think negatively about Nick at all. I mean, if anything, I was wanting him to get cleaned up and move on with his life. But I mean, I liked his character, so I mean, I couldn't think negatively about him at this point because I loved him so much in Simon, and this felt so out of character that, I mean, the image I have of him in my mind, you know, wasn't really corrupted by what happened. Another problem was the ending, because you know how most books go, the character really develops throughout the story, and this is 334 pages, I believe, and the last 3 pages are told in an email, and those 3 pages is the character development that we should have been getting throughout the entire book. And it's not even really like, we don't really get to see the character development. We just get to see a small moment of where Leah is actually opening up and everything to Simon. It's nice, but I mean, the only thing we really gained from this is the fact that we get to learn who ends up with who, and, you know, for a couple of them we get to learn what colleges they went to. That was all fine and dandy, but it's like we see a different part of Leah that we didn't get to see throughout the entire book, and it just made me feel kind of robbed of the opportunity to get to see Leah develop into a character that I would actually like. Okay, so now it's time to get to the few things that I did like about this book. First off, I do really enjoy this writing style. It's fun and cutesy and fast-paced. I mean, yes, some of the dialogue can be kind of cringy at certain points, but I usually can overlook that because it's the adults, and adults are usually cringy as is. So I really do love the writing style, and that kind of helped me push myself through the last like 130 some pages. There's also a point in this book where one of the characters is being blatantly racist. And I really like how Leah handled the situation and called this character out and defended the person being targeted. Leah did take it to extremes, as in the character who made this racist comment has been her friend for like the last 6 or 7 years. I'm not really sure. And it's like, if I was friends with this person, I would never forget what they said, but I would forgive them if they were willing to apologize to not only me, but the person they were being racist against. And it was like towards the end, this person was willing to apologize, and it wasn't until after this person apologized that Leah become her friend again in a way. It's not really said, but it's implied. And it was only after they apologized to the person they were being racist against, because they never got the opportunity to apologize to Leah because she never gave them the opportunity. I would at least have given my friend the opportunity to apologize to me, especially if I was really taking it hard like Leah did. I mean, Leah was a lot more upset than anyone else was about this comment. So I feel like she should have let her friend apologize for doing it. But like I said, I actually like the way she handled it. And I think the last thing I liked about this book is the fact that modern slang was used. I mean, slang that I actually legitimately understood. I read a lot of books where they use modern slang and I have no clue what they're saying and I have to end up looking it up. And I mean, there were a few slangs that I didn't know in the book, but there was enough context clues in it that I could pretty much figure out what was being said. I really hate that I didn't like this book. And I still plan to read The Upside of Unrequited, which I just learned is actually like a another side plot in this world, which I didn't know before I bought it. I just bought it because I loved Simon vs. Homo Sapiens Agenda, and I was like, I want to read it. So now that I know that, I am actually more excited to read it, but I've lowered my expectations of the book after reading this, mainly because I think the relationship in that book is supposed to be a lot like this one, at least in the sexuality department, so I'm just going in with lowered expectations. And since I'm doing that, I'm hoping that I really, really love the book. I know my opinions for this book are unpopular. I've seen the ratings, I've seen the reviews for this book. A lot of people are flat out loving it. It's gotten so many 5- and 4-star ratings, and I can see why people like this book. Everything that I've said in this video is just my personal opinion, my personal problems with the book. I mean, like I said, I didn't want to not like this book. I really went into this book expecting to love it. And maybe that's where I went wrong. Maybe my expectations were just too high for the book. But I mainly think it was because I just didn't care for the characters enough. I don't know. I am going to hang on to this book even though I didn't like it, and I may try reading it like later on down the road, and maybe I'll like it more. So I do plan on giving this book a second try. But for now, that is all I have for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!